Hello everyone.
Hey folks,
How's it going? My name is Ashwin and I take care of all things community at Devfolio.
I'm Maniket and I'm the Chief of Staff at Devfolio.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining in. Welcome to Organizer 101. This is an initiative that we have been wanting to do for quite a long time. Aniket, can you tell us why we are doing this? Like what's the idea and what to expect from this series?
I think first things first, as Ashwin said, we have been wanting to do this for a while. Personally, feel that we push a lot of hacker content. We are asking people to participate in hackathons, pushing the whole hackathon agenda. But never really sat down and talked about what it takes to organize a hackathon. Devfolio supports a lot of university hackathons in India, and we felt that we have a lot of questions that come in that, hey, well, how do we do this? How do we do that? Some of them are basic questions, some of them are really good questions that make me think also. So we figured, why don't we just do this quick episode, quick series for Organizer 101? And this eventually becomes like a playlist sort of thing, goes into the handbook, cookbook, whatever you want to call it, for organizers to refer to whenever they want to venture into the world of organizing.
Perfect, amazing. So the way we thought when we deep down enough, like all of us have been an organizer and a hacker at some point in our careers. So there's so much information we wanted to share. We could not fit it in 1 hour. We cannot do it in. So we had to break it down into different series. And moving on, you will be seeing each member of Devfolio sharing something very special, something that they're expert at when we organize our own hackathons or what we have learned from organizing, hosting hundreds of hackathons for so many years. So today's episode is how or what makes a hackathon great. Very generic statement. I know it's very hard to answer that question. It can be multiple answers. Like if I'm a student organizer and I'm organizing a hackathon for the first time, I think it's great. So we are here to help you break some myths, break some illusions, share our own experience of what we think is a great hackathon, what we think gives a great hacker experience, and great organizer experience. So in this episode, you'll be like deep diving through Aniket's journey. Probably I also share my journey in all the great hackathons we've done, what common patterns we see when those hackathons are hosted, some very upper layer, creamy layer stuff before we even deep dive into organizing a hackathon. So we're just talking about, from our point of view, what is a great hackathon. And in subsequent episodes, we will actually, get our hands dirty and see what is the exact thing when we organize a hackathon that you should be keeping in mind. But for today, Aniket, before we get into that, let us take a narrative approach. All right. It's very hard for audience to relate unless you share what you have been through. So can you just quickly give a rundown of your journey from a hacker to organizer to Devfolio's chief of staff?
Yeah, 100%. So I had a very typical experience. I took up engineering, of course. Always wanted to get into computer science. And I think all of it started when in 9th, 10th I opted in for Java. And then that really got me interested in programming. And then, of course, I took it ahead. In college, I was building a lot of projects. I also, along with my friends, started our own club called the Script Group. Shout out to that group. We did amazing things in those 3-4 years of college. And I think when I joined the club, I initially I was just your typical sit in the corner dev, just hacking away, working on some random stuff. But when we got together and put together that club, I think everyone we were kind of wanting to explore a little bit outside the box. We have always been hackers, but we also realized people were not as much interested in coding with the right approach. It was all about studies, CGPA. We just wanted to show people that coding is actually really fun if you look at it from the right perspective. So that is why we started the club, and that kind of got me into the community building side of things, uh, getting into organizing stuff. That I would say was a really good start for me. And then I think by the end of third year, beginning of fourth year, I realized that hey, I love writing code, but this entire community initiatives angle is also really fun. I kind of want to do a mix of both. And that is how I came across Devfolio when we were going to do our own hackathon in our university. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it because of COVID, but we had set stones for the hackathon, and that is how I got to know about Devfolio. And I was just part of the mailing list. And then in August, August of 2020, got a cold email from Devfolio regarding them like looking for a few interns and full time folks as they were hiring. And I very bravely applied for both front end and community together because earlier I used to think Devfolio is a very big company with like 300, 400 employees, and I could do a mix of both because like I kind of want to keep myself busy and I'm interested in both. But turns out they were at that time we were like a team of 10 people, and each vertical had a lot of work in it. I could not pass the front end test, but I definitely then got into community. And the strength that was picked on is that I was a tech guy who was interested in the community angle. So that kind of helped me be a DevRel in a true sense, where Dev and Rel was both something I could take care of rather than it being just and eventually, then of course, like organizing hackathons, onboarding hackathons was a part of it. Doing our own initiatives, moved on to grants, fellowships, taking care of multiple things, and then also helping with people ops. And then eventually, just very recently, I was given the title for chief of staff. It's been 4.5 years for me at Devfolio, and I feel like I have a context on everything we do here, be it engineering, product, community ops, marketing, anything, initiatives. I have worked on each and every vertical. Some of the times my day would look like I'm like reviewing some hackathon proposals, like how would we do, and later in the evening I'm making a PR for a very minor bug that I saw on the platform. So I think like the chief of staff kind of summarizes that perfectly, and that way, like we do a lot of. I think we have done like 2, 3 team hackathons where we also are hackers. So I think like that way I've been trying to balance both sides of being a hacker and organizer more for sure, but keeping in touch with the hacker side as well.
Wait, did you say 4 years at Devfolio?
Yeah, it's been 4.5 years. I think this December I'll complete 5 years.
We can churn like 4 hours out of this episode now. 1 year, what I did there. Okay, so getting back to when you were participating in hackathon, that's how you found Devfolio, right? Now brings me to our first question. I have heard so many opinions about hackathons, right? From folks who think hackathons is about hacking, like I can get your passwords or Wi-Fi password and hack your printer, to people saying, hey, this is only for pros. This is only like I don't know how to code and I can't do it, right? So what was that hackathon? What was the memorable part about it that actually made you stick to it? So I want to. We are more interested, like the memorable part, like what interested you in a hackathon as a hacker, as a first impression.
Makes sense. I think like the first hackathon I had gone to was an Angel Hack hackathon. It was in 2019. It was happening in Mumbai, where I live. So it was just one of my friends just inviting me to come participate with him. Um, I I used to be kind of, I think like before joining Devfolio, I was a little bit more shy and introverted. So I would like the feeling of going on stage and presenting a project did not occur to me. Like it was not natural to me at all. But I just went for the vibes. He just asked me to join him, and like, okay, at least my friend is going to be there, so I'm just going to vibe over. And then turns out, yes, there were a lot of pros. There was a very intimidating experience, but it was on the good side, right? Like that was actually the first time I learned React. Like I learned, like I would say, like decent amount of shippable React in 2 days, which I was planning to do for months. So I think like what I would like the first credit I would give to a hackathon is like an accelerator for your whenever you kind of uh, keep postponing any of your skills that you want to learn or something like that. I think hackathons are a great place to accelerate that. You end up like usually you end up procrastinating, but hackathons I feel are a great place where you have like a room full of similar minded folks. You have mentors, you have companies as sponsors. and then you have judges who are going to answer all of your silly questions. And then you are in that zone and environment where you want to ship a few things, and then you just it even if it is in a hacky way, which is not really production grade code, but you still put things together and at least get some idea rather than doing like 3 4 weeks worth of course. That was definitely my first impression of hackathon.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, when I think about it, when I look back, I think I was also very nervous. Not exactly stage shy, but definitely nervous. The imposter syndrome, we call it, for like others know better than me, they know more than me. I just know how to do a quick sort program. Is like that. Is that's the best I can do. And definitely, like I think I agree that the biggest thing that pushed me in college is like friends. Like if I can either make friends, if I can, or if my friends can push me, or if someone who is as the same level as me, I can find at the hackathon. So it's like, is there another beginner?
Yeah.
Or someone has dropped a message in the chat like, "Hey, I'm a beginner. I'm looking for a teammate." I think that also gives me some comfort and hope that okay, I'm not the only one. I can just submit anything and it will be fine. And later you realize it turns out it's a great event. Speaking of great event, what are the things that you feel after organizing zooming past to present now from that first experience? What are the most common things that organizers just overlook or overthink when they're trying to organize a hackathon?
Okay. Overthinking, I would say, is actually a very fair question. I think I'll just try to derive uh, examples from my past when we were putting together a hackathon. I think the first thing was like having a team of like we need a big team of 30 40 people. And we like I'll just openly say this that back in script we did have a over hiring sort of thing where we took in a lot of folks and eventually managing got little bit difficult. But I think then when I moved to Devfolio and saw that even 9 10 folks plus some very motivated volunteers can put together a A grade hackathon or A grade ST or whatever it is. That I think was the first thing that you don't always need a lot of people like all over. You just need to be able to work through your things very smart, right? Yes, for a online, sorry, for a in-person event, there is a lot of boxes you need to check. But I think like once you have those things cleared, it takes like maybe first first 1 2 weeks of planning. Once you put it together, what you want the hackathon to look like, I think then achieving them is like much easier like, as compared to what you build it in your head. So like people think that oh, you have to do this grand hackathon and everything. But dude, like you can even like 50 to 100-person hackathons university. I've gone to universities which have done like 50-person hackathons, and it is better than some of the 300 400-person hackathons that I've seen. Like even though there were just like 12 13 projects that came out of it, but the qualities would supersede those that come in from a big. So I think it's a matter of bringing like the right people together rather than always worrying about scale. You don't always like people go for the largest hackathon. We have also done ETH India. At one time, it was the world's largest Ethereum hackathon, which is a good accolade you want to collect. But it doesn't mean that only if it is the largest, then the hackathon will. Right? It's about the quality. It's about the right kind of mentors and sponsors you're inviting. It's also all about the vibe, the right. You're selecting the right portion of people to come back. Crazy about shipping and want to see to it. So overthinking is that what I say? They like people always say, "Oh, we have to put together this big ass event." Like, no, chill. You want to do a good hackathon? It doesn't have to be like 1,000-person hackathon. You can very easily do it with 1,500 folks as well. So I think like that is the first thing I would say people think a lot. Overlook. I have a very quirky answer for that, and that is mushroom facilities. People, yeah, I know it's kind of odd that coming out randomly, but washroom math is very essential when you want to, like when you're doing an in-person hackathon. Washroom math is super important. Uh, Basically, especially when you're doing large scale hackathons, we have had experiences where you know, said facilities were not as good. And then I very specifically remember for ETH India 2022, given that we were aiming for the world's largest Ethereum hackathon at the time, we had about 2,000, 2,500 people coming in. So we actually had to arrange extra porta potties. And imagine if you would have just overlooked that, hey, like, when you it has washrooms and done, it's not just that. People are going to be staying there for like 36 hours. One need to make sure about a lot of things. So there was a very particular, like, simple math, but we put together a toilet formula. Happy to share that later on. I don't remember it exactly. So of course it depends on the number of people and the duration people are staying in. It all comes together. Like answer is number of toilets you require.
Oh, I thought it would also have like number of water bottles you have per person.
Yeah. So that was some crazy stuff like I saw. Another thing that I would also say people kind of overlook is coming to a more serious answer is thinking that online hackathons are significantly easier than in-person hackathons, right? That is like I'll admit that was also something I thought when we were doing ETH India online series. We did a bunch of. I personally, my first ETH India online hackathon organizing was EtherPunk. So I just thought, hey, it's an online hackathon. But then there's a lot more things that go into it. Like you're doing workshops, and then you have to make sure that the speakers are there on time. At least in person, you can give them just like find them at the venue or whatever it is. In online, you are absolutely lost. Are they coming on? Right? That's like something you want to take care of. And usually, when you're doing online hackathons, people do it for a week or two. Then keeping the engagement high becomes a little tricky. I think with in-person events, everyone is in the same room, everyone is in that hacker vibe, you have help around it. So it's easy to keep people entertained and them having a good experience. But when it's a one, earlier we should do like 3, 4 weeks online hackathons, which we have shifted from now, keeping it to 1 2 week because we realize engaging hackers, keeping them interested in the project, in the hackathon is very difficult when you're doing it for 3 4 right? Usually the number of people applying doesn't correspond well to the number of people who are submitting their right? So that conversion is what we try to optimize for. And usually when you overlook the engagements, that conversion is very low. People, because online there is no liability for people uh, submitting a project. At least when they are IRL, they see people building around and they have that sort of peer pressure. Also submit anything, but just still do it. So yeah, in terms of overthinking and overlooking, I think these two things.
Yeah.
Highlight.
I think it's also like for the toilet problem, and it's I got a really good sort of a thought bubble that I think these things are overlooked because a lot of these cultural fests, if you're a student in college, are taken care by college management, like washrooms and even like bedding in some universities. So it's very easy to like miss that part out. I think that's one of the reasons. And for the virtual one, I think uh, people also don't take the aspect of the attention span. It's so hard to keep when you say people keep people interested. It's also because there is far more interesting stuff happening online now. Instagram is so scary. Yeah, you doom scroll. You don't have to hide. So it's very hard to get that attention span and then have everyone build. And if you are a bit more aspirational, global hackathons is a whole different ball game where you have to take care of time zones, you have to take care of async communication. I think you should. I think if you're organizing an online hackathon, you should know the async communications that will happen eventually, whether with guests, attendees. Uh, Something that I would like to talk to Anshuman in the coming episodes is run of show and then planning and timelines. Very exciting stuff, which a lot of hack organizers think is very boring. Is actually very fun. It's a bit daunting, but it's lifesaver. But yeah, you're right about that.
And heads up, it is something you can completely automate. Just a little bit of digression, but first task I was given at Devfolio was trying to automate things. There's a lot of redundant manual things that we do as part of doing hackathons.
Yeah.
And I think like the first task that I was given was it was not directly related to hackathons, but onboarding hackathons. So since I've joined Devfolio, I've been like a very automation first kind of like I have that principle. Um, so earlier I used to think, okay, what would you automate in an offline hackathon? Things, but again, like once Anshuman gets to it, he's also our expert in automating stuff. I think he'll be able to talk more about it. So it's not all manual labor work. Things like, especially with AI, you can code a lot of things, code a lot of tools to make things simpler for yourself.
Yeah. To sum your answer, quality over quantity for the hackathon. There are instances where organizers want to do a good hackathon and then they saw the applications blew up. Like now they want to do bigger hackathon. So they have to do stuff like charge fees, which we don't advocate for, or like just stretch their resources thin. Don't have to do that. Quality over quantity. If you think the hackathon is good, you're getting more attention, great. Just keep it to the quality. It's okay to say no for the sake of giving the best experience to those who are in. Second answer was bringing the right team. All right, you don't have to have a huge arsenal. You don't need an army. You just need few right people who believe in the same mission as you. The organizer, the lead organizer who wants to do the hackathon. So if your why and their why is aligned, I think that's enough. That's a good small team. ETH India, we were like 10, 15 folks plus volunteers, and we have been doing hackathons like that. Every hackathon that Anshuman mentioned, Angel Hacks, a lot of popular hackathons are there. You will be surprised how small the team is. It's just because each member of them believes in the mission of the hackathon. And I think the third point that you mentioned, that when you went to other hackathons, I can sum it up by saying, if you're an organizer, you should get exposure to external hackathons, right? I think that will sum up the third point that Anshuman mentioned, which was a multiple stuff like missing out on key items like washroom or run of show and whatnot. When if you don't attend other hackathons, you will not have idea what could go wrong, and this is where most of the organizers just miss out on. So just go ahead, be a hacker, go attend to other hackathons, get rejected, it's fine, but get some exposure to how things are done remotely in a global hackathon in another city or even yours in a different university. But when you get exposure, you will get the stuff that you might accidentally miss because either it's in the culture of how your college in your college or in your academics is done, or it's just you were never exposed to it. So uh, when I was in college, Aniket, for me, hackathon was a way because I found out hackathon during pandemic. For me, it was stickers. I wanted to get sticker. I wanted to get T-shirt, and prize money wasn't much, and I just wanted to make new teammates. So that for me, that was a great hackathon, right? And I want to know what is your definition of a great hackathon? Has it changed over the past couple of years?
Yeah, I think like yeah, but being very honest, like initially I was also motivated by stickers, swag. Um, so personally, like of course, like being an organizer right now, that also helps change perspective on what do you want out of a hack. Like earlier, it used to be, oh, I want to win some prize money. Sure, tracks definitely. And but now, growing into the organizer role, slowly realize that these things are definitely like an added incentive for sure. But what you really want to optimize for is your learning or what you're able to achieve. I'm not even going to say try to win the big prize money. Can like of course that's the point of like competition. But we see that a lot of people think, and this is mostly that I've seen in like the Indian ecosystem, Indian hackers, is that a lot of us consider hackathons as a zero sum, where someone's winning equals my losing. So we don't want people to kind of like um, indulge in that sort of sorrow or pride depending on your winning or losing. Uh, we want people to take away good experiences. As I said, like I see hackathons as an accelerator for your learning, right? You should come here and try to build your network, try to build your knowledge base. There's a lot of feedback you might get when you're interacting with the right people. And of course, like as social animals, I would understand you cannot always hang out with the same kind of group, right? So in your other time, you're hanging out with other folks, but I feel here is the time where you hang out with people similar to you in terms of like uh, like these particular interests. And then from an organizer perspective, is also something I have noticed is I think like um, much earlier, especially like like hackathons is a Western influence that we have also adopted, right? So what one thing that I've gotten to know and also seen for myself is that earlier hackathons used to be more about like, hey, there's this new tech, let's try to build on it, or I want to build this extremely stupid stuff, but the tech is super interesting, so I just want to like do some jugaad stuff and hack things together, right? And people would make like like I think like there was this one project where it was a very hard-coded VR experience uh, for your PUBG, right? It could just plug into it. I feel like okay, that project was not very practical because of course you would need to have like a meta quest and all these things, very difficult for everyone to have their hands on in India. But it was a very interesting, very good project. Like the tech implementation side of thing, where you're bypassing those mechanics into the actual PUBG game, right? I think like that is interesting things that we want to see people building. I feel like right now may or may not be for the right reasons, but I see a lot of hackathons focusing on the business plan, financial model, and all these things. If your hackathon is for that theme, sure, but I feel like good quality hackathons or where you want to bring about the most creativity comes in where you're giving people a lot of space to build whatever they want and not having them to think about business models. That's not a startup accelerator. Yes, startups are definitely a launch pad. Like hackathons are definitely a launch pad for a lot of startups, but it doesn't only have to be that. Right? Some people might be coming in with the intention that I have this very interesting idea. A hackathon would be a good litmus test for me to see what judges, what mentors are talking about, and then that converts into a startup. But I want hackathons to also be a place for like what how it was intended to be for the nerds and geeks to come and hack some cool stuff at the hackathon and not worry about all the business stuff, right? So I personally am wanting to bring back that culture. I think when I say I am also talking. Like definitely, I know a lot of people have been asking about in-out, and I'm pretty sure in-out is definitely going to be a place for that. And yeah, whenever there's in-out, we definitely bring back sort of.
Yeah, something we call it the joy of building
Yes.
is super important. It can be very boring if like this is what I like. I've been to a couple of high school hackathons, and the cool part is like when you see the high schoolers, they hack with no one wants a job. They have time. So they will hack the most funny, most you can't think like it's not required in life, but it is fun to watch. It's like a project which will uh, so I remember one kid, he wrote his own programming language on a phone because he did not have his laptop, and another one find ways to rickroll us and so many like just silly funny stuff, and that's like okay, this is fun and this is one way to get into joy of building, and the other ones like you mentioned in the past, uh, totally agree to that. So if you're an organizer, one thing to keep in mind is how you can have that sense of like everyone enjoys the experience of building at hackathon. I think that is something most organizers miss out. Like I've seen so many organizers, student organizers focusing on mini events, focusing on workshops, focusing on lineup of talks that they forget the time that hackers are spending is actually building, and there's nothing to assist on that time.
Yeah, I think like that's why in East India also the scheduling, all of the major scheduling, like we have a lot of sponsors, so some of it, very little of it overflows, but usually most of our workshops are all done before the hacking start times.
Yeah.
So yeah, because hacking period we consider it as sacred for people to actually sit down, lock in, or if you want to sleep over, whatever. It's your time. You are given the freedom and time to nothing. And the other mini events we treated as a break for people who might be like a little tired of. constantly just like walking in and writing code, and it's not a mandatory thing to do.
Yeah, so said. Moving on. Speaking of so many hackathons, want to cherry pick a specific moment. There's always one moment that got you hooked into hackathon, or there could be multiple ones. But I personally advocate so many beautiful hackathon that I've been part to. I've been to Hack this fall. I love that hackathon. Days, great ones. ETH India, love it. ETH Denver, amazing. And I have one moment from each of those hackathons. I personally like that makes that hackathon unique in itself. Like it's like the signature move, right? So what can you can share one or maybe multiple moments that that was memorable to you in a hackathon, completely like personal, like something that you experienced. So organizers have a bit more idea of what we're talking about when we're trying to tell them, hey, make your hackathons memorable.
I think I think uh, one story that I definitely have on the top of my mind. This was back in ETH India 2023, is where I think like we were just grinding for like so many months to put together ETH India. All of it the day of the event, check-ins, speaker workshops, and everything. And I was like, when you're in that zone, you're like, I hope people are like, right? We are doing so many things to do this. And then when I just enter the hall after completing the check-ins, and I see, okay, you will think that, oh, Aniket saw people hacking and then he's happy. No. I saw people video calling their parents and showing them that I'm here and I'm hacking here. There are so many people. It's such a big hall, and people are calling from the food. They're just showing what their parents or their relatives or friends or close ones that hey, I'm here, right? I think that is something that just cemented in my mind that I actually even saw uh, like a hacker who had I think he had two kids and he was just talking and then he just pulled up his phone and then my wife and kids are calling and then he's just showing his kids the venue and then like those things just make me feel that oh everything we have done here is totally worth it. Prizes, projects launching, that's part and parcel of doing a hackathon. But this I felt is something people they were doing themselves to kind of appreciate the things that I feel like I'm not sure if this was the exact answer you're looking for, but when you said memorable, I think like that feeling I had when it felt all of it felt worth it was when I saw everyone just calling up their loved ones and showing around.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what memorable means. And I also want to share a narrative. And again, from an organizer side, that I've seen is super memorable. Um, like all the amazing hackathons that I've been to, it all comes down to how the organizing head who's responsible treats the team, right? And what I've seen is like uh, after the event ends, either the organizers settle in a room and reflect on what amazing stuff they did, or like the lead just takes them to a dinner and just no work, no reflection, just party, like just enjoy, have a great time. I think that's always been memorable, and I have always seen that team just like they just enjoy being an organizer, because otherwise there's another spectrum of side I've seen where people think organizing is a task. It's a work, like so including like after ETH India we went for a dinner. It was one of the best. I've been to other hackathons where I've seen like the lead takes charge and like everyone goes for dinner, or everyone just does a like just hangs out and talk about all the awesome stuff with them. It's just a small thing. It's a very small task that a lot of organizers miss, but when done, it's super. It's ingrained in the mind. It's very vulnerable and it's super powerful. It's a team bonding thing. So I have found that super memorable and very effective.
Yeah, like just a small PSA for folks who are already organizing hackathons and planning on organizing. That after party is also a very important part of your entire thing. Like you deserve the party since this is something that yes you have done it for your own interest, maybe for your resume or whatever reasons that you have for doing a hackathon. But at the end of the day, you are serving, you're catering to a large number of hackers. You are providing them with a launchpad. You're providing them with that room full of motivated folks who are here to build. I think like that deserves more than pats on the back, and that is a little bit of party and other things. Yeah, just a big PSA.
Yeah, yeah. Party wisely, folks. It means just hanging out together, but we trust you.
Your definition.
Your definition of
Your
party.
definition.
Uh, Basically, like it's not just the organizers, it's the volunteers, it's everyone who helped out. You like celebrate with the. Um, Awesome. So, moving on, one of the important questions I wanted to ask was uh, myths. All right, I wanted to debunk that in the beginning of the series. So, moving forward, everyone has an idea of what is a hackathon. So, what are the biggest myths as an organizer when you want to host a hackathon in your city, university, college, globally? What are the biggest myths you know are about organizing a hackathon?
I think there's a couple of them that we already covered. Um, just quickly reflecting on those, that is um, doing a big hackathon equals success. You can do a small but quality hackathon, and that will definitely have a lot more ROI than just doing a big, relatively dull hackathon. So that's point number one. So like that way, then you are very you're well able to manage your expenses. Usually, with a big hackathon, there's a big expense in terms of food, accommodation, and a few, like, of course, like the entire logistics thing that kicks in. But um, like people don't have to like if you're working with limited budget, even if you do a 50 to 100% hackathon at max, you can definitely have a greater ROI than any 400, 500, even bigger hackathon. I'm not discouraging folks from doing big hackathons. Big hackathons definitely have an entire vibe. Been there, done that, have a lot of fun. For sure, it's a big W. But just using that as a metric of success, the number of people, is something I kind of disagree. Right? It's about the kind of projects, the kind of quality of projects that come in, or how you even affect people's lives. Like you may not be the best coder out there, but you can definitely provide a platform and a place for the best coder. Right? So that is something that I like to keep in mind. Um, Small example that I have is uh, I had done a very random workshop in Eternals. We did Eternals 2022, one of our ETH India online hackathons, and we were just wanting more beginner folks to submit a project. So I just did a very generic, very cliche how to build a to-do list app on Ethereum, just to get folks like somewhat like breaking the bubble essentially, especially for student builders, right? And apparently, like that came with a con as well, that 10 projects were to-do list on Ethereum that was submitted to the hackathon, which we had to unfortunately discuss. But one good thing that came out is apparently someone attended that workshop, got into like the world of Web3, and he just randomly walked up to me in ETH India 2025, sorry, 2024, and just said that, hey, Aniket, I remember you from the workshop that you did. Just like, wait, what? And then turns out he is now working with Huddle One, and he was one of the sponsors over there. And that just blew my mind. Again, like it's the little things that you do that actually end up having like a much larger, right? So uh, yeah, like I like that is like one myth that I'd like to bust. That bigger hackathons, you have to do bigger hackathons to have a larger impact. And that workshop was barely attended by 50 for a hackathon that had like 3,000 applications. More than that, we had like 8 or 10,000 applications, but only 20 people attended it because of
Yeah, you mentioned 8 to 10,000.
fair. But yeah, like not a lot of people attended that, but I was glad to see one major success story,
Yeah,
kind of come out of it.
I have too many stories on like hackers who came through Devfolio, did a hackathon, came back as sponsors.
Yeah.
Like too many stories like that. But yeah, great myth. I think one more myth that I would like to mention here is you don't have to be like better hacker than the attendees to be an organizer. Basically, like people think you have to be too technical. I think it's the other way. Being an organizer is very different from being a hacker or being technical. Like organizing skills is a whole different skill set that I think everyone should learn, but it is very different. So you don't have to worry about, learning every track that you are putting on. So if you're putting like AI, web, open source, tracking, hackathon, you're not expected to know or be expert in that. And or I've seen organizers usually pick their team like that, and like you need designers. You need people who can talk. You need people who can run. Yeah,
Operation skills is insanely.
Yeah, and you need people who can run and stay calm because hackers will come to you, beg for stickers. They will sneak under the table and steal the t-shirts. You need people who don't lose their calm and get it done. And not all developers can handle that. Developers, you need it for the website, for setting things up on Devfolio, but everything else, it's not technical. And I think it's a huge myth that
like a comparison I'd like to draw is it's not necessarily that people with AI are 1 to 5 or 10 in IITs are necessarily the best teachers. Right. So usually like back when I was in like of course some of the best teachers I had were AI and 8,000 or something. They're not necessarily the best, but they knew how to put things together and help others, like enable it for others.
Yeah.
That is like a comparison I'd like to draw to your.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. No. For sure. Perfect. We are almost on time, and I think we covered most of the stuff. Is there anything else you think the organizer should know from this episode?
The first thing is like there's a lot many episodes, as I've mentioned, that are coming up. That includes the community angle, ops angle, engineering angle, most importantly, sponsorship angle. I think
Everyone will watch that. Everyone wants to know.
A lot of people are. Yeah, I totally get that. Like sponsorships is still like the most difficult part of a hackathon. We have built an entire platform. We have an ops guidebook at this point. We have people who are pulling off like 2,000, 3,000 person hackathon. Sponsorship is the make or break for your hackathon. So totally get that. So we have like a lot of these episodes coming up, and a lot of thanks to Ashwin for taking time to put together this initiative. I think a lot of you folks would definitely benefit from this. And a quick summary for this episode is like from my end, I think like this is something I say a lot of times, but everything is just chill. If you're watching this, you're probably interested in learning a lot of things that now I need to sit with notes or textbook. It's no, just go with your gut feeling. Attend a few hackathons actually. Just go to a few hackathons before you organize one. There's always hackathons happening on Devfolio, both IRL and right. So there's no harm in just attending a few hackathons and seeing how do you do it. You can always reach out to us at Devfolio if you're at Bangalore. We are even happy to meet you. If you want to talk about your hackathon. Just wanted to keep that door open. You can reach out to me or Ashwin on our socials. You can reach out to us on Devfolio for any particular questions you might have, something that we may not have covered in the series, or something like, there are very unique problems that kind of pop up at every hackathon. So just wanted to put it out there that we are very reachable, and if there's anything we can do to help, we are more than happy.
Yeah. Lots of cool stuff we'll share. A lot of things that we have done at Devfolio is also from Hackathon. We have hacked stuff internally, and hopefully we get to talk about how we hack internally and how we have all the nitty gritties, right? And it will be very exciting because when I joined Devfolio, I was astonished. Like we were working on the what you mentioned the schedule, and I was like, I wish everyone could see like the level of planning we have done. This is so, and just to like give you a teaser, like Wi-Fi, like just Wi-Fi is the hint. Like Can you imagine talking about Wi-Fi would be fun? And yes, it was. So
We need Preet and Amol on this episode. For
yes, we're gonna do like a special episode to how important Wi-Fi is and how cool it is. Uh, but yes, so this was all about setting context of what's a great hackathon. Now you know, and we will see you in the next episode. If you have not subscribed, or you can just go to nsb.dev/organizer101, or it's on the Twitter account. We will give you a heads up when the next episode is announced. Feel free to join the Discord. If you had any questions you could not ask, you can drop it there. We'll be there, and we'll try to answer it in the next live stream. Well, till then, have a great day and never stop building.